There is a silent enemy that steals your future, not with violence, not with noise, but with comfort. It visits you every morning when you hit snooze. It whispers in your ear when you say, "I'll do it tomorrow." And its name is wasted time. And with it comes the gravestone of every opportunity you never dared to pursue. Most people don't fail because they tried and lost. They fail because they never showed up. They were too busy postponing effort, delaying discipline, and distracting themselves with dopamine and drama. The tragedy is not that we are incapable, it's that we trade potential for convenience, and the bill for that trade is paid with regret. We often speak of time like it's some external commodity, something to manage, schedule, or track. But time is not something you have. Time is what you are. It is the substance of your being, and every second you waste is a second of you that dies. People say, "I'll find the time," as if time is hiding behind a bush. You don't find time, you use it or you lose it. What makes this dangerous is that time moves forward whether you're prepared or not. There are no replays, no pause buttons, no refunds. You don't get to rewind the moment you could have spoken up, loved deeper, and tried harder. The harsh truth is, you are either investing your time or letting it rot. There's no neutral ground. Opportunity has a shelf life. It is perishable, and it doesn't knock forever. Most people assume that life will keep offering the same chances again and again. But timing matters. A missed opportunity in your 20s may not reappear in your 40s. That job, that connection, that ambition you delayed, they move on, they evolve, and you may not. Opportunity is like a moving train. You either jump on or get left behind, and many people are standing on the platform, hands in pockets, watching the doors close, comforting themselves with the lie that next time will come, but it might not. And you won't be the same person by then either. Courage fades, momentum dies, and the world does not wait. People aren't lazy because they're tired. They're lazy because they're distracted. Never before in history have we had this much access to entertainment, to endless scrolling, to 1,000 voices telling you to avoid the discomfort of meaningful action. But the cost is enormous. Every hour spent numbing your mind is an hour stolen from the future you could be building. Every dopamine hit that feeds your comfort feeds your mediocrity. You're not just wasting time, you're practicing failure. You're building neural pathways that reinforce avoidance, procrastination, and weakness. And the longer you practice being distracted, the harder it becomes to focus, to fight, and to finish. You can lie to your friends, you can lie to your parents, but there is one person you can never deceive, the future version of yourself. That version of you will look back and remember whether you gave everything you had, or whether you coasted. The haunting feeling people experience in their later years isn't about what they did wrong. It's about what they could have done right, but didn't. Wasted potential is a spiritual crime. It is a betrayal of the talent you were given, the dreams you once held, and the people who believed in you. You were not born to live a life of excuses, to bow to comfort, to drown in mediocrity. You were built to rise, to struggle, to conquer, and every wasted moment is an insult to the miracle of your existence. So here's the truth you need to hear. Your time is running out, not metaphorically, literally. Every day you avoid purpose is a day closer to dying without it. Life will not wait for you to feel ready. Opportunities will not pause until you're more comfortable. If you don't act, if you don't rise, if you don't choose growth now, you're choosing regret, and that is why you must take yourself seriously, not out of fear, but out of respect. Respect for your future, respect for your capacity, respect for the life you are meant to live. Do not waste time, do not waste opportunity, because the cost of wasting them is you. We often underestimate what time really is. We treat it like a budget to manage, something separate from ourselves. A tool, a unit, a calendar entry, but that's a dangerously shallow way to look at it. Time is not a resource you manage, it is the very fabric of your life. It is your existence unfolding second by second. When you say, "I don't have time," what you really mean is, "I'm choosing not to prioritize this with my life." That statement alone should make you stop and think. Because the reality is, every moment you waste is not just lost time, it's a lost piece of you. It's a part of your life that could have been used to build something real, to move closer to your potential, to become who you were meant to be. But once it's gone, it doesn't come back. And what's more tragic is how casual we are about wasting it. People will guard their money, their phones, their reputations, but they'll let their time bleed away on pointless scrolling, meaningless conversations, and distractions that serve no purpose but to dull the ache of unrealized potential. They'll live their days in reaction, never in creation. They drift, they postpone, they rationalize, but deep down they know the clock is ticking. They feel the unease, that subtle guilt, that gnawing sense that something valuable is slipping through their fingers. That's time reminding you that it's sacred. You cannot stockpile time. You cannot rewind it. Every second that passes is a transaction. You're exchanging it for something. The question is, what are you buying with it? If you're not intentional, you're probably buying comfort, laziness, or distraction, but you could be using it to gain wisdom, to develop skill, to create something that matters. Time isn't just slipping by, it's being spent. And you are the one spending it. The harsh truth is, time doesn't care whether you're ready or not. It doesn't pause for you to figure things out. It keeps moving, and the moments you waste don't wait at the door for you to change your mind. They're gone forever. That's not meant to frighten you. It's meant to wake you up. Because once you truly understand that time is your life, not a resource to dip into occasionally, you begin to live differently. You stop making excuses. You stop delaying growth. You stop tolerating mediocrity. And you start showing up for yourself, for your goals, for your future. Opportunities in life are not permanent fixtures. They don't linger, waiting patiently for you to feel ready or confident enough to act. They appear often disguised as hard work, as risk, as discomfort, and they disappear just as quickly, sometimes without warning. One of the most dangerous beliefs a person can hold is that opportunity will wait. It doesn't, it moves, it evolves, and more often than not, it only knocks once. Most people miss opportunities not because they're unqualified or incapable, but because they hesitate. They overthink, they let fear negotiate with ambition, they assume there will always be another chance, a better time, a more comfortable window, but what they don't realize is that life rarely operates on your preferred schedule. It rewards the bold, not the perfectly prepared. It favors those who step into the moment, even when they're uncertain, even when the odds feel stacked against them, because it is action, not intention, that unlocks the next level of your life. The tragedy is that many people look back and clearly see the doors they could have walked through. They remember the job they didn't apply for, the relationship they let fade, the move they talked themselves out of. These missed moments become ghosts, haunting their sense of self with what-ifs and if-onlys. The pain isn't from what happened, it's from what didn't, and that kind of regret is slow, corrosive, and deeply personal. An opportunity missed doesn't always come back around, and even if it does, you may no longer be the same person. Time changes you, momentum dies, circumstances shift. The version of yourself who once had the courage or the fire might not exist by the time the door opens again. That's the brutal nature of hesitation. It doesn't just cost you a moment, it can alter your entire trajectory. There is no perfect moment to act. There is only the moment you choose to act and make it matter. Life is filled with windows, short bursts of possibility, and if you don't move when they open, they close. It's easy to think you're being cautious when really, you're being passive. You're letting life pass you by under the illusion of waiting for the right time. But often the right time is now, because if you don't grab your opportunities with both hands, someone else will, and they'll build the life you could have had with the chances you left on the table. We live in an era where distraction is more accessible, more addictive, and more socially accepted than ever before. The world around you is engineered, quite literally designed, to steal your attention. Social media, streaming platforms, endless notifications, and infinite scroll mechanisms don't just exist. They are crafted by experts who know exactly how to hijack your mind. And what's frightening is not just how effective they are, it's how willingly we give in. Distraction has become the new norm, the default setting, but it is also the most insidious form of self-sabotage. People don't just waste time anymore, they fragment it. They dilute their attention across a dozen meaningless things, never fully committing to anything worthwhile. You check your phone every 10 minutes, you switch between tasks every few seconds, you feed your brain junk information all day long, and then wonder why it can't focus when it finally matters. This isn't harmless. This is dangerous because every time you choose distraction over discipline, you're training your brain to become weaker. You're building a habit of avoidance. You're conditioning yourself to retreat from effort, from depth, from challenge. You're rehearsing failure. Distraction doesn't feel like destruction. It feels like leisure. It feels easy. It's why so many fall into its trap, but the damage it causes is deep. It erodes your ability to engage fully with your work, to be present in your relationships, to think deeply, to reflect, and to grow. It keeps you busy but unproductive. It keeps you stimulated but numb. It gives you the illusion of living while quietly robbing you of purpose. We fool ourselves with the myth of multitasking, convincing ourselves that we're doing enough, that we're making progress, but you can't move forward if your attention is fractured. You can't build anything meaningful if you're constantly interrupted by meaningless things. Depth requires focus. Mastery requires silence. Purpose demands your full presence. But distraction doesn't just steal your time. It steals your life force. It steals your inner strength, and the more often you give into it, the harder it becomes to return to clarity, to discipline, to true intentional living. People think the enemy is laziness, but the real enemy is diluted focus. Distraction wears the mask of comfort, but it quietly kills potential. It numbs your ambition and lulls you into a false sense of productivity, and unless you actively resist it, unless you treat your attention as sacred, it will consume the parts of you that were meant for greatness. There comes a moment, sometimes in the quiet of a sleepless night, sometimes in the glare of an unflattering mirror, when you confront the undeniable truth of who you could have been. It's not the failures that haunt you then, they at least testify to courage attempted. It's the vast tracts of unexplored territory within your own soul, the unplayed symphonies of talent, and the half-written chapters of a life that never demanded your full measure. Wasted potential is a silent indictment, a moral ledger you keep with yourself. You sense, often dimly at first, that you have betrayed something sacred, the combination of temperament, aptitude, experience, and circumstance that is uniquely yours, and because it is yours alone, the world will never again be offered precisely that set of gifts in precisely this era. If you bury them, they do not simply lie dormant, they vanish from the human story. Regret of this kind is not a passing sadness, it is an ache that spreads through memory and expectation alike. You can lie about why you never started the business, why you never apologized, why you never finished the novel, but the future version of you will see through every excuse. He will know the truth, that fear and comfort colluded to keep you small, that you mistook potential for possession, believing possibility would eventually morph into reality on its own schedule. It doesn't. Potential is perishable. Like a muscle, it atrophies when unused. Leave a skill idle for a decade and you'll discover it has rusted. Leave a dream ignored and you'll find even the dream has forgotten its contours. People imagine that playing safe costs nothing, but the invoice arrives later and it is brutal. When opportunities have passed and relationships have faded and the energy of youth has cooled, the question shifts from what can I do to what could I have done? That question hounds you precisely because you know the answer. You can picture the stronger, wiser, more generous individual you might have become had you consistently chosen growth over ease. The gap between that imagined self and your present reality is the measure of squandered possibility, and it presses on the conscience like a debt unpaid. Yet the sting of regret carries within it a paradoxical gift. It proves you can still perceive what is missing. That awareness is the spark of responsibility. It calls you to salvage what remains of your potential and invest it with urgency, because while you cannot retrieve yesterday's lost minutes, you can prevent tomorrow's from meeting the same fate. The day you decide that wasting your gifts is morally intolerable is the day you begin to redeem them. And redemption, unlike regret, is a living force. It compounds, it reverberates, and it reminds you that the story is not over unless you choose to end it in silence. The truth we often resist is that life is not waiting for us. It's not pausing to let us catch our breath, fix our mindset, or eliminate all fear before we act. Time, once gone, is never retrieved. The seconds we waste become the silent architects of regret, and they construct a future that looks eerily like the past, stagnant, safe, and unfulfilled. We must stop pretending that time is something we can borrow without consequence. It is the very essence of who we are. Every moment you neglect to act on your potential is not just a loss of productivity. It is a piece of your identity left undeveloped, a version of yourself left unformed. What you do with your time is what you become. There is no separation. Opportunities, too, are fleeting by nature. They don't stand in place, waiting for your convenience or your confidence to align. They exist within a window, and that window closes. Every opportunity you ignore, hesitate on, or let pass is often someone else's gain and your own loss. Life offers no guarantees that the same door will open again. And even if it does, you may no longer be ready to walk through it. We must stop believing in the myth of infinite chances. Courage is not built by comfort, it's built by stepping into opportunity when it's difficult, uncertain, and even terrifying. That's when growth actually happens, and that's when the trajectory of your life starts to shift. In today's world, distraction is the great deceiver. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It tells you that another 5 minutes won't hurt, that your future can wait, that dopamine and escapism are harmless. But day by day, click by click, you're handing away the very power you need to become something extraordinary. Distraction rewires the brain to seek ease, not excellence, and the longer you allow your mind to be controlled by the trivial, the harder it becomes to focus on the meaningful. You must treat your attention as the gateway to your destiny. Whatever dominates your focus defines your future. If distraction owns you, regret will soon follow. And perhaps most sobering of all is the awareness of your own potential, what you could have done, who you could have become, and how many lives you could have touched if you had simply chosen discipline over delay, commitment over comfort. The pain of knowing you had more in you, but chose not to use it, is one of the deepest forms of suffering. Yet within that awareness lies power. If you are still alive, you still have time, not unlimited time, but enough. Enough to start again, enough to focus, enough to act. The worst waste is not a lost hour or a missed opportunity. It's a life unlived. Don't just exist. Rise. Take your time seriously. Honor your opportunities. Reject distraction and refuse to leave this world full of unused gifts. Thank you for taking the time to listen, reflect, and engage with this message. If these words challenged you, stirred something inside you, or pushed you to think deeper about how you're spending your time and honoring your opportunities, then it has served its purpose. This message wasn't meant to comfort, but to awaken. You have within you untapped potential, and the greatest tragedy would be to let it go unnoticed, unused, and unlived. As you go forward, remember, every second you have is a chance to choose differently. Don't let the noise of the world drown out the quiet urgency of your own growth. Protect your time, honor your path, act while you still can. Life is too short for hesitation and too precious for regret. Now, as I close this chapter, I want to express my deep gratitude to every listener, viewer, and supporter. Your time is valuable, and I don't take it for granted. If this message impacted you, please consider sharing it with someone who needs to hear it. Let's build a world where fewer people waste their time, and more people live fully, intentionally, and with purpose. Thank you again for your presence. Be bold, be awake, be relentless. Until next time, take care, stay focused, and goodbye.